Alright, let's dance, Andrew, with you 2 years ago. So you don't even know I'm coming or I'm gonna attack you like this, but yeah, let's dance.
I recently got a comment suggesting that I do a video going over my study habits and how I prepare for
Like, it would
exams and
stop
things
somebody
like that.
on the internet from
And at
doing it to
first,
me?
I didn't think I could do anything with that topic. I didn't think I'd be able to say something that people don't already know. But then I realized that a lot of people that watch my videos are high school students that are about to go to college. Some are also people that were in my position where I started out in a different major, and the different studying habits was a bit of a culture shock. So this video is more catered towards those types of people that watch the videos. So if you're someone who has well-established study habits, you're doing really well, this is just not for you, right? This is going to waste your time, essentially. Unless you just like watching the videos, in which case, let's get started. I've always loved the analogy of comparing work to gas occupying space in a container. If you have some gas in a container, what it does is it evenly distributes itself.
How do I study for the physics exam? What is the board factory? We do board at this factory?
There's going to be less gas per unit volume because it'll be dissipated over a larger distance. Decrease the size of the container. The opposite happens, and you also get the gas to feel more pressure. Now, comparing this to work, obviously the total amount of work on a given project doesn't change. The thing that does change is the amount of time per day that you have to allot towards that project.
That is how you study. Why are you doing the physics exam? Alright, so pay attention. It's nasty. It'll kill you.
To studying as well. So you'll have these people that are doing all-nighters trying to cram a month or two's worth of information into one night, and then being surprised that they're not doing too well. And as simple as that sounds, for
so there's
some
the
reason,
bander.
that took me a
Here's a
while
pack.
to
Talk about tighten it up.
internalize.
It should be
I was
42,
the
42 and a
king
half,
of all-nighters when I
43.
was at VCU.
You get the
Now
variables
my
of
study
lengths
habits are a
or
lot different,
can'ts
and I'm just fundamentally less
Q6s
stressed
or whatever.
when I have to study now.
6x,
So let's go through an
8,
example
whatever.
of how I studied for
Then
my
a
last
bander.
exam, which was my quantum.
Then we're going to use that bander. We're going to show, oh, you got to pull it tight and then slide it to a certain position on there, and you'll see the junky ends on there. But before that, this rat strap, that's kind of what it'll look like from dimensionally what you're dealing with down here to cutting off cants for Danger Dave. Again, I can't really see him, it's a bad lighting angle, but it's actually, it feels pretty good in hand, it looks pretty good in hand, this is the cutoffs.
That corresponded to. Now,
I'm studying for a physics exam. Now, it's a physics exam I've done every day, but I've never done the physics once FMA all day, Ponkior. Never won. So, and I could have done that. You know, these can turn into the full page drawouts for what they do. You don't need the leisure with it for the count. On pages for however, what way. This is a special one. It's kind of... I'm gonna. This is a learning curve for an apprentice in the board stacker's position. What do I have here?
Addition of angular momentum or angular momentum in general
stacker's
starts on
duties.
page 160.
This is yearly phase. I guess they start everybody back there in the camp position.
Then
They
we
get
come
you
around and
strong
we take a
enough
look
and
at time
fast enough and
independent
recognizing
perturbation theory,
footage well
and we
enough
notice that degenerate
to be able to
starts at page
handle the
257,
front
and we're not getting
sides coming
examined on
out
that.
that speed,
So we're going to go from
jamming up the
249
back,
to
changeovers
246,
on
and I'm going to write
operations
down
of
those
a
pages. Now, my professor tends to lecture at a level higher
when
than Griffiths.
ready,
so what I
and so it may
usually
not be
do is
just
I
you
tend
might
to
have to
read
let them
Griffiths
stack
first,
up for a little
that
bit
way I
on
can get
another
a broad
pallet while you're
understanding
waiting
of
for
the
the push to
subject,
pump
and then
down,
afterwards I'll
and you wouldn't
tackle
get that
my
right
professor's
away,
lecture
especially
notes.
on the first
And
day,
as you
even
can
if
see
you
here,
could see
these are the
90% of the
pages of
learning
Griffiths
curve.
that I should go over before.
And so this gives you a bit of a bump on really what the problem is. It's not necessarily can you do the straps. It's that little strap thing there with that little clip. That's a pain right in the butt.
Where I'm finding the material.
Figure that out by the angles on here, chasing that geometry around and how this thing.
Topics all on the same page, sometimes that goes away. One thing that I always try to do when studying is do what I call
or how you want to depict angles, or what the task is.
And what I mean is
I didn't need the write-out. They could have
a
made that a
derivation
different
of, say,
version
something
with
like
those
spin.
sweeping out the rails,
And then
cleaning
you'll
over the
come
saw,
across
just in
something that says,
that
from
smaller
which
scale.
it follows
Maybe
that.
it's
And then we get
beneficial.
an expression for spin in the
Maybe
Z
it's
direction.
beneficial to do
And
it
that's
in
what
that
I mean
form
by hidden
because that one
exercises. They'll show
has,
you how
even
to
though
do
it's a
it for
million
one
moving
thing,
parts, what you
and then
do
they'll
with
say
it
that
is
it's a similar
only
logic
one
finding
thing.
out the
Now here's an
next. So what I
axe.
like to do is I like to make sure
You
that
try to do
for
the
one of the
operation
next
on that
cases
ball
that I
bunny can
do it by myself.
But we have one for arborists. Absolutely, you got one for arborists. What's the wedge on the tree, or the diameter of the diameter of the fucking black hole? What is the diameter of gravity compressed redwood out there in the middle of the trees on an angle or something with lensing problem? What do? There's different ways about doing that, and it's like, well, yeah, you're right. You get the crew out there with the crane and everything. But this is in the middle of the forest. There is 3-4 different ways to skin that cat. Salty rabbits do.
Now, I'm getting a
Shit
little bit
sandwich,
ahead of
souffle.
myself. The first thing that I should always start with is assessing how much
Alright, so
I have
bandage
to do
duties.
total.
Tighten and
So
fix
before
pack,
getting into
square and
all of
level,
that
1 and
studying
2.
out of, say,
3 is
Griffiths,
push
if you're studying
pack,
for
2
quantum,
loader
doing
pack.
the exercises,
You know,
get a
when
running
you get
number of
another
how much
person
you
to
have
do
to
it, it's
study
not like the
first.
masters
So
just
after
there would be a
accounting
couple of
for
times it was
the
like, well,
number
do they
of
just
pages that are relevant
take
in
on
the
to those
professor's
tasks
lecture
now?
notes, what I come out to
Is that
is
what they're
that
doing? Are they
the
starting
total
to
number of
advance
pages I
into
need
the
to study
pawn to the knight
before the exam
position,
is
where the
87
knight makes the
pages.
jump to the
So that comes
rook,
out to about
the
14
rook
and
to
a
the
half pages
bishop,
per
and
day.
bishop to
And
the
that's
king,
assuming that I don't want to
and
have to study
how
the day
that
of the exam.
first in, last
Great
out,
about
or
this
last out,
is if
last
I were
in,
to
first
have
out, kind of a
underestimated how much
situation
I
that
needed to
happens.
study, like say I only gave
And so
myself
there's
2
a
days,
market to it.
well,
Every
it'd be something
business
along
would
the
ever
lines
have
of
it.
42 or 43 pages per day. 42, 43 pages per day is doable,
That's
but there's
the
no
pack.
time to have questions
Strap and
about
clip
any of it.
pack.
The only time I would be
What's
able to
going down
study
the
that
pipes
much
today
in one
in
day is if
the
I
log
already had a
factory,
really,
because
really good grasp of the
we try to
material.
avoid it to
Even
be the
so,
problem
I still
on the
wouldn't
table
bet on
coming
that.
down the pipes,
So the next
but
step would be for me
it certainly
to
matters
go
sometimes.
over the Griffith
Under,
section,
over,
which is the
we want to
easier
be
section,
the under, the
because
over.
he tends to
If we're
motivate
over,
the
it's
need
not
for
really
the
good, but
equations
if we're in the
and give a
so
more
strapping
conceptual background,
under,
which helps
over,
me
no twists.
understand the material better. So I would go through that, I would
Prep
take my
for
notes, and I would go through
bander
some of the
ratchet.
exercises
Put
in
the bander
Griffiths.
on it.
And that's another thing to
Use
keep in mind,
bander.
because
Don't
though
over
I only
tighten. Don't
read
under tighten.
87
You don't
pages
want to
total, that
You'll
doesn't take
figure
into
that out.
account the
It's one
time
of
it
those
takes
things
to do
that's it's
problems.
reasonable to talk
One more
about it.
comment about the number of pages I'll do a day is normally I'll tweak
Cut
it a
clean
little
straps.
bit
You're trying
and
to
try
keep
to
the ends
finish
going
certain
off. Again,
sections
that's
a
a
day
technique
that are
thing. You'll see
sort
those
of like
3. Don't over
milestones
tighten. Don't
within
under
the scope of
tighten.
those pages.
And try to get that
So
technique down
if
so you
I
snap
do
it
14 or
clean.
15
Because
pages
that's
and
when
it's
you'll
only
know
a
the
few away from the next
beeps
section,
are
I
right.
might finish it off.
You
What
can
I
know.
like about this is that I'm not saying I'm going to study 2 or 3
Cut
hours
off bad ends,
every
clear
day.
area,
Instead
safety
of
first.
picking an arbitrary
Start
amount
soft,
of
again,
time
safety
that
first.
may or
Make
may
sure
not
that
get you to
thing
the
you're not
finish
in
line. This
kind of a
still
tight
is
spot
guaranteed
before you're
to
trying to
get you
hammer
there.
it away in there.
So when I
Causes
actually
bad
start to
problems
sit
with the
down and
kicker if
study,
it
I like
catches,
to
grab
eliminate
the
as
end
many
of you or something.
distractions as possible.
And so again,
One thing
reasonable
about
to
me
talk
is that
about
I hate
this.
studying in groups. I
Move
might
through
study with one
sections, and
other
you'll actually
person,
see on
but
this
never
draw,
more
I
than
kind of
that.
have it at an
Some
angle
people like
starting
to
at the
take
top, and
breaks
that's how I
in
want you to
between
do
their
that.
studying.
And I want you to
I
just
don't
come
really
down
like
through
doing
those
that. At the
sections
very most, what I'll
as
do
the
is I'll
first
take a
part,
break
and if it didn't
and
really
I'll try
cut,
to
that's fine.
explain
Then you're going to
what
start
I've
back up at the
learned so
top
far.
on that angle,
More
and you're going to
specifically,
run right
since I'm
down.
getting into the
You get
more
to the bottom, be
abstract
careful.
math
Because you
associated
don't want to
with
either hit the
physics, what I'll
bottom,
do
you
is I'll
don't
try
want
to make
to
sure I can still
over
tether it to
throttle through
reality.
this so it
I'll
just
try to
comes down
say
and catch
that's
you in the
what
leg.
this stands for
One of the
physically.
benefits of
For
not
example, in
needing
physics terms, I
traps
could say
like
that
that
if
for
two
this
operators
situation is we're
commute
not
with
in
each other,
dangerous
that
ground.
means I
This
have
is a
the right to search
concrete
for an
floor where
eigenstate
it's
that
flat,
satisfies both
and if I'm
operators,
on it from
such
the
that when I
right,
act on the
like it
eigenstate
tells
with
me
both
to in this
operators, I
manual,
spit out their
then the flat
respective
side of the
eigenvalues.
chainsaw,
Now that means nothing
comparatively
to
to the motor
anybody outside
side,
of physics,
is always
but I
on
can try to
the
translate
cutoff
that
for what
into actual real people
pack
terms
will be.
and say, well,
And
what
then
that
you
means
should
is
just
I
be
have
able to
the
run
right
through
try
top to
prepare
bottom
a
on that,
system
and start
in such
back
a way
over, and
that I
go
can
through
make
those
two
sections
measurements
and cut
simultaneously
it through.
on that
Now,
system
obviously, there's a bit of
that
entropy to
correspond to
that.
some abstract
They're not going to
operators.
just be perfectly
So an
sticking
example
out
of
there
that
for you,
would
but
be
at least
angular
follow that
momentum and
technique. It
spin
saves
at
me
the
from
same
watching
time.
you
Now, my
lift one
situation
and
is a
catch you
little
in the
bit different
face.
because
Or
if you've watched some of my other videos, what I tend
I know
to
it
do
works.
is
I know it
force you
works.
guys to listen to me try to explain these things. So I love to ask
and now
myself
I left this
questions to see
open,
that
but
I understand
eventually I'd
what I've read
imagine
so
it
far.
would, because
And I
it
love
would.
to bother the hell out of my
Move through
professor when I
sections
don't
on your
understand
right, top to
things.
bottom.
And I don't really feel bad
Stack
about
bad
bothering
cuts.
them
That's
via
part of the
email
coder's
about
duty.
this stuff because
You
I
will,
always ask
but
them
maybe not
questions
immediately.
well before
Mark
the exam.
packs. The
And typically your
dimensions, the
professors
species, the
want
grade, and
nothing
for the
more
order.
than to
Now
help
again,
you.
whether
So
that's for
that's
you
what
at
they're
this 2-month phase into it, creeping on the end of 2 months, 60 days, probation, learn the skill,
homework
hit
is
it.
something I save for the very end of my
Whatever
studies.
they might be testing you to do, can you take on that? Do they do that? Well, we do C++, right? Most people should be able to do it, and I don't mean to discriminate that. We certainly take it seriously when we do the readjustment if you're going to stick around here, it's really an important question when it is what we're doing here.
I start to rework the homework,
if this is something you're into.
Tailor that down into doing your professor's
you do that
exam.
different later as
Because
well.
again,
It will be this, and trust me, to the kid that might be about.
When
When you actually see them doing this for you,
that's where the homework's
it could be very great or it could be very bad, but usually when they're doing it for you, it comes with some momentum to do it the better way.
That you start
Here's the number coming at you about the number. It's hard to really argue about that because you provided that number, and
you just say something like,
you got a lot of case studies running like that of hires and terminations and turnover and stuff like that.
Asking your professors, there's something that's going to be on the exam.
Studying how to study for the physics exam, right?
And more often than not, they'll say, hey, you are missing this. Or,
so, I'll turn this in. And again, the reason I didn't do anything for the weekly side report here is because remember, this is, even though it's not
because this video
like Bander, that's fixed duty, but what side tasks I did this week may be specific. It'll be, so I really want to spend A1 information level at that. We cleaned the chipper 4 times today. There was 8 breakdowns and different things. I wanted to clean them the shop extra on those things. They don't necessarily change anything, but if you get them enough, if in that form you chose something later on, if you just want that type of write-out squeakly after action report, when I get through fluffing through a few months of this stuff that really gets you into it, and then just some fix after action report model, and then we kind of settle up, oh, I like this part and that's the whole book model. I want all the book model with the month for the day planner to work out a certain way. You can make that fix. I just suggest you remind them that this is subject to change sometimes, or because it's fixed like that, phases of dropping them in, and not necessarily months, but a time note that is appropriate to those topologies is going to be necessary here. They're not all write-outs, they're not all draw-outs. Sometimes draw-outs have all the write-outs inherently in them, so you don't need an extra write-out with them. I'm just overwhelming you with information as a rookie right here. Even if you are the boss right now, it's fine, because I know you got other things, but rookie don't. And so, like I said, blow up the Bander duties on just a whole page and write those out. Double them down, triple them down, just make a book of nothing but those. Make sections of those things, and you'll figure out which pattern is right for you. But there is a math hydrogen to it with M1 and M2, and you'll see me do it in 3 phases in here, and kind of first get the cost matrix, and you get a different variance of the cost matrix, and you get a draw, which don't necessarily seem like they're 3 independently things different, because 2 in the front part and then the macro or the micro to the macro on that bishop, pawn, knight, rook thing gives me that same type of cost analysis, a differential from a price matrix to a draw out or a write out, but they're still derivatives. They're still going to be derivatives. And I've thought about a phys exam I'm about to take here, and they've had gear forces before, so I would hit ASVAB, obviously, because I think that's the most common one, right? And you go, well, what are the gear forces here? And I was like, well, there's a chain and a rail, and I'm sure there's a gear in there with a motor on it, and if you do the right math to it, a chain drive works the same way as 2 gears moving next to each other. And it just specifies one rotation differently on an obloid, a oval shape comparatively to a round gear track. But they're still congruent with each other inside of the system, and we're benefiting that energy by directly. You're getting some heavy-duty circuitry there, comparatively to just being a ground operator, but that's the kind of buzz you can get out of it. Grounding. You have to have grounding for your house, otherwise lightning rods.
The ideas of scalars and vectors, and show that you
so that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like I said, I just need to draw out another week for it. I think I'm going to do this.
A lot of people are more familiar with vectors,
February,
right?
1,
and typically
2,
when you think of a vector, you think of something that has
3,
a
4,
magnitude and a direction. But you can also define a vector
3
in
more
how
I got to do for February or something like that. And
that,
I might stay with this technique, but I'll be subtly changing out those drawouts into more complicated variances on it, or at least differential variables on it.
I think we'll be ready.
We're going to
so
be,
this video, we're
whether the more
scalars,
complicated
vectors,
is relative, really.
Of them,
but these should all be in the
a
task line of
way,
some close line to things which you learn.
Next video, we'll be talking
and again,
about
just because I'm making swings on weeklies or monthlies that are a little too much for somebody doesn't mean that these can't be changed. These algorithms can't change. But it'll be yours to fucking change. You're paying me.
As, 3 feet from the
Catch you on next one.
7 feet from the microwave.